everyone, and welcome back to Crowdfundr Thunder. I am your host, Leon Barillaro, and joining me are Grady and Theo from the Gallant Goblin. Grady and Theo, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. We're so happy to see you and be here. How you doing, Grady?
Good. How are you, Theo?
I'm doing good. We're so happy to be here with Crow D Fun Doctor, and this is a real treat for us.
Excellent. So, Grady, Theo, why don't you tell me a little bit about your Crowdfundr campaign, Love and Hate in the Mana Wastes?
Yes, so we have been trying to put together this little actual play Pathfinder show for a good while now. It is going to be a playthrough of the Outlaws of Alkenstar Adventure Path for Pathfinder Second Edition. Pathfinder pretty popular right now. We feel pretty lucky in the sense our timing for this should be pretty good. People are just now really interested in Pathfinder to the point where the core rulebooks are sold out around the world, and so. We have put together a cast. I think this is the thing that we're most proud of. We have a cast of most of them are professional improv comedians slash actors from here in Houston, from Comedy Sports Houston, and we have another professional actor and actual play artist from Austin who's going to join us as well. So we have this amazing, diverse cast of performers and people with experience playing these tabletop games. And so it should be a very fun, thematic adventure full of Wild West slash steampunk shenanigans. And this is going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to film it. Most actual play shows these days, I think, are kind of people in boxes, right? It's people playing remotely as best as they can manage. A lot of VTT assets.
People in boxes.
Yeah, and that makes it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Boxes.
But that's a lot of what they are these days. But we're gonna actually film around a gaming table with minis and terrain. Everybody's gonna be here in person. We'll probably have a few people like guest star from time to time from their own homes. But yeah, for the most part, we're gonna be here and kind of hopefully replicate that feeling of just your friends sitting around the table having a good time. And I don't know, Grady, you were thinking about trying to make this one as cinematic as we can.
Yes, our goal is it will be pre-filmed and not live, and because we are terrified of technical issues.
Anything can go wrong when you're doing things live. You never know.
You never know what's going to happen when you
We
go
always
live.
prefer to record and then edit later, and that way anything that goes wrong or any mistakes that I make, we can just edit out. When I inevitably mispronounce things like Crow D Fun Doctor, we can fix that in post.
No, that's his improv training at work there. But yeah, so our other goal is, we also have a YouTube channel, The Gallant Goblin, where we do reviews, and we've always aimed to try to make things fairly efficient and moving forward. And so we're going to try to do the same with the actual play, and so that editing will allow us to kind of maybe target a roughly 1 hour time frame for each episode. It'll also be available in podcast format as well as a video that you can watch. You can watch live with us in kind of the chat, like through the YouTube premiere feature, and then it'll also obviously be available for whenever you want to watch it. And but yeah, and we're also lucky to know some folks who are artists, who are animators, and so we may be able to kind of edit in some other sequences, either based on some of the things that are happening in the show, or in some cases, if there's some sort of narrative, or like the cinematics in your video games, right? Like where there's some sort of read aloud or something that's happening, or a flashback, to kind of give it that more cinematic experience, make it feel kind of as much like an episode of TV as an actual play. Around the table, kind of get the best of all the worlds there.
And we're hoping that also being able to edit it, we'll be able to, if we do make rules mistakes, which is inevitable, we'll be able to hopefully catch a lot of those before it goes on air, and we can put on kind of on-screen notices like, this is the way you're actually supposed to do this. So if you're watching at home hoping to learn along with us, you can kind of see where some of these errors or questions will come up, and we can hopefully give you answers in the moment. Maybe cut out a lot of the arguments, the inevitable arguments around the table about like, wait a minute, is the medicine check too, all that. So I hope hopefully there's a lot of benefits to being able to do that while keeping things tight and efficient.
Right. And so like, and we do think that the mistakes are a part of the experience, and that it's a lot of folks do learn or have that kind of initial exposure to how to play tabletop through that. And so we don't want to give like, an artificial sense of like or incorrect expectations either. But like prior to the show, we've also been doing videos of like making a character on Hero Forge, building a character sheet, and like finding out like, as you choose your feats and your stats, like maybe some of that or the backgrounds that are available changes how you want to present some of your backstory, or how your backstory can inform your mechanical choices, and kind of just show that kind of behind the scenes thought process in terms of how you are as a player too in these games.
That's really cool. Yeah, I always love when I pick up sort of certain phrases or anything when I'm watching an actual play. It's kind of like learning a new language. I always liken learning a new role-playing system to learning a new language. So watching actual plays, just like they tell you, watch TV in your target language. Watching actual plays in your target system is really, really helpful for learning. So it's really, really cool to see folks embracing that. Can you tell me a little bit about the plot of the campaign?
Sure. So, our adventure takes place in the city of Alkenstar, which is between the warring nations of Geb and Nex on Galarian, which is the Pathfinder setting. And so those nations have been having an arcane war for decades. And so the centuries at this point. And so the land around it is called the Mana Wastes for that reason. And so because of all the kind of arcane energy that's been embedded into the very ground there, magic doesn't work well in the Mana Waste. It is unpredictable. It kind of ebbs and flows too, like almost with the tides. Like there's periods where magic might work okay, and other times it's really going to go haywire. And what that has resulted in is that the people there rely much more on technology than they do magic for their everyday lives. Also, there is a dwarven sky citadel nearby where they discovered a substance called like black powder or gunpowder, and so it is also a land of firearms. And so it is a very much Western steampunk setting, and our characters are going to be people who have been living their various lives in the city of Alkenstar or the areas around it, very diverse, different sort of lives from each other. But they have one thing in common. Their lives have all recently been ruined by a mogul in town named Ambrose Mugland and his corrupt shield marshal compatriot who is named Deputy Lovelace. And they have, for whatever reason, crossed one or both of these people, and they have had their lives taken out from under them. So now they are branded as outlaws in this town. They have to stay away from their loved ones. They've lost all their homes and ambitions, have to keep the low profile. And so our characters are going to start this adventure at their lowest point. They can't even show their face in town. So I think it's an interesting place to start an adventure at.
Yeah.
Usually your adventures are like, we're gonna go on an adventure, and this is the case where our characters are gonna start angry. They're gonna start desperate. They're gonna want revenge, but they're also gonna want to find a way to claw their lives back, and also depose these people from their positions of power in the town. And so hopefully there's a lot of built-in energy and momentum going into this. And that's kind of where we start, and that's not even the full picture. There's along with our individual stories and conflicts and motivations, there's also a new invention in town that kind of coincidentally takes place around the same time that our characters are starting their revenge story, where a scientist has developed the most explosive compact substance that has been yet seen on Galarian. So you kind of think of it as like their own kind of like nuclear bomb kind of thing. And so there's going to be this struggle to like get control of the substance before it can fall into the wrong hands. And when you have these corrupt officials, they're always looking for their next power move. They're going to be gunning for this as well. So there's a lot of things going on just getting our story started. So that's the kind of basic plot as we get started in the adventure.
That's really cool. Oh, might I say, Theo, I mean, I get why you're the dungeon master, because you the game master, my 5e slipped out. That's what I mean about switching into a target language. That's how I know that you're the game master, is that snippet that you gave me was really fun and evocative. I'm super interested now.
Thank you. I feel like, because I do not have a background in performance at all, and I'm bringing in these actors and performers who are very much used to being on stage and improving characters and scenes in the moment. And so what I'm going to have to try to do is just have a very, very firm grasp on the setting, what's going on in the environment, and try to root what I do in that, because I don't have quite the improv skills that they do, although I'm working on it. But they're going to definitely be keeping me on my toes. And for the most part, I'm just going to stand back, and I'm pretty sure they can run the show. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah. So I want to move a little bit now and talk about kind of the campaign itself. So how has that process been for you? How's it going?
You want to start with this one?
Yeah. So I mean, so we've come in with previously one prior crowdfunding campaign experience making these little guys kobold plushies, but this is obviously a very, very kind of different sort of campaign, because a lot of crowdfunding is around, you know, like, here's a product, right, and we need enough money to make it, or we need and so like this one is, we are planning to move ahead with the actual player regardless. And so our campaign looks a little different from some of the other ones, you know, like they have a countdown to a deadline, and ours is kind of just, here's how long it's been running. It actually caused some consternation, I think, in the beginning. They're like, is there a configuration issue? But no, it's very cool that Crowdfundr offers kind of a lot of different ways of presenting your project that you can tailor to what you're trying to accomplish. And in our case, it's going to run kind of like a store alongside the first season of the campaign, which will be the first book of a 3-book adventure. But our main goal with this campaign, and our initial funding goal, is to ensure that, you know, our actors are being paid, because we strongly believe that, you know, everyone should get paid. We promise them a certain amount per filming session to begin with, regardless if the campaign funds or not. If it funds, we're going to be able to get them like $25 a day, which is still not a lot. It's going to be like a full filming day. But ideally, you know, and if we get higher than that, there's going to continue to be profit share off of any additional sales that we make off of other products associated with the campaign. We're hoping that this will grow, and we'll be able to grow alongside it, and everybody will be able to kind of share in that success. And then we'll also be able to add to the production value of the show. As we said, you know, we're also hoping to maybe do some animation, which animators have traditionally also been a very underpaid profession, especially on like YouTube and places like that. So hoping to be able to do right by them.
Yeah, it's still expensive.
Yeah, it's still expensive. I mean, you know, it's a lot of work, a lot of time.
And to be fair, just to be clear, like the everything that we make up to the funding goal is just to pay our actors.
And then after that point, it's going to split 50-50. 50 will be profit share for the actors continue. The other 50 we're going to hold in reserve to produce additional products, whether it be additional animation, editing, or maybe additional physical merchandise. We've got a few products in the works that weren't quite ready for the campaign, but because it is able to kind of run, you'll see more options being added over time.
Yeah, that's cool. Why don't you tell me a little bit, by the way, about the rewards that folks could pick up right now if they wanted to?
Yeah, so at the very start, we have a lot of the ones that you'll commonly see, right? like your name in the credits, your name in the thank you on the website for kind of just the basic, if you just want to support us. But we're having some more exciting things at the $5 tier. You can kind of affect the show a little bit. You can be kind of like those the people in like Hunger Games, where you're sending the contestants gifts. You can basically write crits and fumbles. So whenever there's a critical success or a critical failure during battle, which in Pathfinder is if you're 10 above or 10 below.
Well, yeah, but we're not doing it that way. What we're going to do, because otherwise we're going to run through our crits and fumbles very quickly. So the fan crits and fumbles come when you roll a natural 20 or a natural 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Cool.
That's okay.
We're going to need to change the text on the campaign.
I didn't know that.
Well, that's a really interesting, I didn't know that. So I have never play Pathfinder. I played one session of Starfinder several years ago, but I did not know that the crit is based on how high above the success rate you are. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and so yeah, if you score 10 above whatever the DC is, it's a critical success. But if you do roll a natural 20, you get to move up one level from wherever you were. So if your roll was a natural 20, but it was still considered a failure because the DC was that high, you would just move up from failure to success. But normally you're going to move up from success to crit success or to stay in crit success. But like there's for spells and whatnot, there's certain things that happen if you crit fail at a spell save or crit succeed at it. So it kind of gives you a lot of gradation in your results of things that happen, which makes it more interesting and fun. But yeah, for the fan ones, because crits and fumbles happen so frequently in this game because of that rule, I don't want to go through them too quickly. So make it special for 20s and ones. But continue.
But yes, so they'll be able to submit like a special additional effect that happens. And so yeah, it's to a certain extent, the sky's the limit on what you can imagine. If it's too well, it has to work within the balance of the game.
Yeah.
And they should be careful because the critical success could be for the monster as well as the player. So you don't want to get too aggressive.
You never know who's going to roll that.
You never know.
You want to put that decapitate crit in there. You need to be aware that that could be happening to your favorite character. So
But
yeah, yikes.
So then at the higher levels, we have a few more interesting kind of more specific things unique to kind of our campaign. We have what we call a season pass at $25, which will get you kind of behind the scenes access to our private Discord channels, behind the scenes access to the website. But because we are planning to make there's going to be custom side quests that they go on and custom monsters that they fight and other content like that. And so as we develop those, we're planning to release them as digital products, and potentially, if there's enough of them, even like physical ones, like here's a set of monster cards, here's a set of encounters and things like that. And the season pass basically guarantees that the digital version of whatever we release, instead of you having to come buy it, or if you back us at any tier, you'll get a discount code for any of those products. But if you're at the season pass, you get them for free, and then if you want the physical product, you'll get them at cost. So like we're pretty sure it's going to end up being a very good deal, but we also kind of wanted to keep it at a reasonable price point at this point because we realize that a lot of people are kind of taking us on faith right now because it is season 1. And then we have some exciting kind of custom rewards as well. We have, for $100, you can get a custom sketch of yourself or a character you create, and it goes on a wanted poster that will feature in the show, kind of like, you are now also an outlaw of Alkenstar, right? It's not just our 4 characters who have crossed the law. And so you can get that. We might adjust some of this to be able to let you add a name, add a crime if you want, and things like that.
With some restrictions.
With restrictions, yeah.
I don't know if that's looking reversed or correct for you over there, but hopefully you can read the text.
Yeah. So cool.
And folks will also see that all of our player characters have gotten custom art for themselves made. You'll see it kind of next to the actor on the page. And so at $250, you can also work with us to create a character. We'll make art for that character. You'll get an art print of that piece, but that will be an NPC who will show up in the show at some point and interact as an NPC with the cast. No guarantee they'll survive.
Yeah, they might roll that natural 1 decapitation thing. You never know.
They might.
So, and then we have a lot of add-ons as well, including we are very proud of our little Goblin Gold kind of inspiration coin, which is right there. Hopefully it's focusing. Grady?
Yep. Very heavy. Looks like a throwing star. We got stopped going through TSA with them in the backpack once.
But they thought it was very cool in the end.
They thought it was cool.
It's not sharp, but you could deal damage if you really wanted to. But hero points are a very big thing in Pathfinder too, because everyone starts every session with a hero point, and they have quite a lot of uses. So they've kind of expanded upon the inspiration system from D&D and the original Pathfinder. So these are going to be handy to have around the table. And yeah, we've got a lot of other like little badges and pens and
maybe very dice. Cool.
Oh yeah, we're working on dice. We got a lot of things for it.
Gotta have dice.
They're very cool looking dice. We're trying to decide exactly how we want to release them, but we got some cool dice downstairs that we're going to talk about. I think we teased them on our Twitter. But yeah, it's an exciting campaign. We're very, happy to have it ongoing. We're going to keep it going through the whole season so people have a chance, because I think people will be more interested in kind of backing a campaign once they get to see a little bit of it and they get a little bit invested, make sure it's something that's for them. So, we're going to have this
Definitely.
ongoing for now.
So we are almost out of time here. So I want to ask one fun question, and then I'll ask you to sign off. So my fun question is, tell me the sort of the Pathfinder has like ancestry in class, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What are your favorite ancestry and class combination or builds that you have played in Pathfinder? Or that you want to play?
Well, do you want to talk about the character you're playing on Sunday?
So I'm always very nervous about my characters. But because there's
Me too.
Concepts. Yeah, no, so Pathfinder has a ancestry called the Leshy, which are plant folk. They're spirits that have been kind of typically summoned by druids to take form inside a plant or a plant shape. They can be different ones. They can look like flowers. They can look like plants. They can look super cute or super scary. There's like cactus Leshy, like tumbleweed Leshy, root Leshy. So I'm playing a ginseng root Leshy this Sunday.
I love that.
But they're I was browsing the lists of backgrounds and I saw that there was a background called Witch Wary, which just both sounds kind of fun, but also made me go, what does that mean? And it indeed means that they are afraid of witches, because one presumably turned them into a duck at some point before they got better, and so I thought, like, if they're a root, maybe a witch tried to turn them into a potion at some point, and now they're very concerned about that experience repeating themselves. But they also happen to be a witch themselves. So, because what better to know thy enemy than to become
the enemy.
Witch hunting witch.
Trust no one, not even yourself.
Yes, exactly.
And I think my favorite one is the Poppet, which is basically a child's toy that gains the spark of life and sapience. And that you can just do so much with that. You can just be a little teddy bear if you want to, and just someone who, the reason we made these guys, not to plug, but the reason we made these guys is because I grew up as an only child with like lots of little fun plushy friends, and so just kind of, luckily I had parents as an only child who just saved everything I ever touched or owned, and so I still have all of my like precious little plushies. And so, like, I don't know, I've always loved them a lot. And so, like, just the idea of like playing like a little toy that somebody loves so much that they were granted the life, and now they go on adventures. And so that's kind of my favorite little Pathfinder ancestor.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Theo. Thank you, Grady, so much for coming on and sharing about your project with me. Please tell me, where can people find you?
Well, you can find the campaign on crowdfundr.com
/love-and-hate. And otherwise, we're Gallant Goblin on Twitter and the Gallant Goblin pretty much everywhere else. We have a website, gallantgoblin.com. You can find our plushies at koboldplush.com.
Yeah, we're on YouTube, Mastodon, TikTok. I've got my TikTok channel going on. Facebook, Instagram, like the whole bang. Our main base is YouTube. That's where we put up most of our content. So if you just want to catch up on everything, YouTube is a place to see it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys.